Okay, good morning. The Church of the Angels is an independent, non denominational interfaith spiritualist assembly, and my name is Reverend Jenni Vinecourt. I am your facilitator today. We'll spend about an hour together with prayer, sharing, and song. And I'm going to, like I said, I change things up a little bit. I am going to start with a song today. Peace on earth, give me light, give me life, keep me free from birth, give me hope, help me cope with this heavy load, trying to touch and reach you with heart and soul. All right. A reminder that you can join us today with just your audio if you choose. You don't have to use your video option. Service is being recorded so that we can help more folks connect up with us. Um, the recording will be stopped before the messages are given to respect the sacredness of working with spirit. I also ask that everybody keep themselves muted for the majority of the service to knock down any background noise. During the sharing portion, if you want to be called on to comment or have a question, just raise your hand, use the raise hand function, or send me a quick hey during in the chat so I know to call on you and you can make sure that you're unmuted for your question or comment. The Church of the Angels tries to be as inclusive as possible and invite all those of all opinions and backgrounds to join us for our service. All speakers are prompted to leave politics and any politically charged topics outside of our gatherings, and this is to promote spiritual unity. We know that our true selves are always united in love. And I want to mention also that if you wish to make a donation, you can do so through the Church of the Angels website. You can You'll have an opportunity at that time to make that donation a recurring one if you choose. There is a separate donation page to make it a little easier for you. And thank you to all those who have already donated and helped us stay strong in this past year. Opening prayer, please. Mother, Father, Infinite Spirit, thank you for your blessings on all those joining us today to honor your work and experience your grace and your wisdom. Thank you for providing all we need for us to gain a better and truer understanding of your love by the words spoken and the healing brought forth here today, so that we might lead healthy, happy, and prosperous lives. Thank you for showing us the way to accept responsibility for our lives. We are grateful to know that you are with us always. So be it. And if you would, please join me in the Lord's Prayer. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come. Oh, excuse me. I'm sorry. Let me start over. Pardon me. Let me start over. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses as we forgive those who trespass against us. Lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory forever. Amen. Thank you, and excuse me for that. And now I've asked Batya to read the statement of principles. Batya, do you have them ready to go? That's okay. I can do it if you don't. Just give me a yes or a no. That's okay. There is one creative force of which all life is a part. This one creative force is known by many names and manifestations. We recognize and honor the many names and manifestations of the one creative force, the source of all creation, one in God. The energy of life everywhere is continuous. All consciousness is continuous. Communication is continuous. The energy of life, consciousness, and communication never cease, even after the event that is perceived as death. One creates one's own reality. One creates in harmony with the one creative force, the great power of God, of which all life is a part. Reality is as one chooses to perceive, and will change as one grows in knowledge of the inner self and one's relationship with the God of his understanding. All things are possible with faith, insight, knowledge, understanding, acceptance, and love. Love is the unifying energy of the universe. Love is the energy of the one creative force, the wisdom of God. All life and all mankind are one in the creatorship and healing force of love and with each other. Love is within us and of us. Love is never apart from us. It is we who separate ourselves from the power of love. The force of God works through love and love alone. That's all right, Batya. I'll get you another time. No problem. And as Cindy said in chat, life happens. It's good. It's all good. And now we'll have a few moments of quiet meditation so that we can concentrate on going within to find some peace and calm and healing for ourselves and for the world. Take a deep breath in and let it out. Take another deep breath in and out. While still in this place of peace and calm, please add the names of those you wish to include in this healing energy. Thank you. Take your time and come back to the present. And please remember that we are always connected to each other and to the divine. Use this peace and calm to take care of yourselves and all those around you in your communities and throughout the world in whatever way that you can. And I want to mention that some of you have been asking about Bobby and are worried about Bobby. He's good. He's still dealing with the shingles, and he can play, but when he sings, it makes the pain in his face go. So yes, I put him into the prayers today, but he is missing you guys too. But he is good. He is back to work and appreciates all the concern. Okay. All right. So now that I brought you down, let's bring you back up. Let's, before our speaker, let's do another song. And I think it's one of our speaker's favorites, I think. And it's now time for Inspiration and Thought Exchange brought to us by today's speaker. We do invite everyone to address this assembly with words of inspiration, lessons learned, or passionate ideas. And any opinions expressed here are strictly those of the person who gives them. Let us consciously and lovingly agree to disagree if it does not resonate with us. And today, our speaker is our own Reverend Cindy Hudson. So I'm going to leave it with you, Cindy.
Okay, how's that? Can you hear me now? Ooh, okay, technology. And I think it was Reverend Vicky that put on her Facebook, like these Zoom sessions are like a seance. Are you here? I think I hear you. And it just always strikes me very funny because there is some truth to that as we move forward into these days. However, we know that things are changing rapidly, and the church is considering appropriate adjustments in line with that as well. So some good news there as things hopefully get back to whatever normal it might be. But so this morning I was out and I've seen this sign, and maybe if I hold it up, you guys have seen a similar sign. I don't expect you to be able to read it, but you might have driven by it, and it's hard to read when you're driving by. And you may agree or disagree with some of the phrases here, but I want to start with this sign because I was happy to be able to finally get a picture of it. It says, "We believe Black Lives Matter. No human is illegal. Love is love. Women's rights are human rights. Science is real. Water is life. Injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere." And you may or may not agree with all of those phrases. That's kind of the beauty of this church, is that we can sometimes agree to disagree, but or there may be some other nuances to those phrases that you do or don't embrace. But I think at its value, we do value all life, and we value the beauty of the earth. So thank you for that song, Reverend Jenni. And we value each other, especially I think in this church and all. I'm not being exclusive, but it's been a tough year. There's no doubt about it. And this week we've gotten news that we're moving forward from this tough year, 14 months, whatever it's been. We've certainly missed each other, and we've either directly experienced or know someone very well who's been pretty negatively impacted by all that's gone on, economically, health-wise, emotionally. The list goes on. And I think that we can know all that we know in this church and understand what we understand about karma, the God of our understanding, all those things. And yet, I think that sometimes it's seeing or experiencing the pain and the loss still affects us. We know what we know, but when we lose someone who's dear to us, whether it's an animal or a person, or whether we see somebody that we care about struggling and suffering in ways that we can't reach out, embrace, and make that difference, it's tough, really tough. And the musical group Coldplay, I don't know if anybody of you guys have heard of Coldplay, probably, maybe not everybody, but some of you have. So they released an album in November of 2019. And, so obviously this is right before everything shifted and changed about 4 months later. And so there's a lot of songs on that album that really were, when you look at the lyrics and you think about the intent of the lyrics, it's like, wow, how prophetic of them actually. And there's one particular song that I think is quite prophetic again, and especially can I consider that it was released before everything happened with the pandemic. The song actually has a title in Persian language. It's not in script that I can understand or read. And in my ignorance, I would say it looks Arabic. The lettering looks Arabic, but I know it isn't. It's Persian. It's just related to Arabic lettering. But the title translates as Bani Adam. Has anybody heard the poem Bani Adam? I don't see hands waving. I see some no's. Okay, well, cool then. I'm bringing you something different today. Bani Adam, it's a poem. It was written by Sadi Shiraz, and I'm sorry if I'm not pronouncing the name right. He was a poet. He was a poet from Persia. He lived from 1210 to 1292 or 91, some discrepancy on his date of death, but in 1200-ish kind of years. He was a contemporary then of Rumi. He predated Hafiz by about 20 years. And this poem struck me. And after I read it, I'm going to tell you a little bit more about why, and we can discuss this and some other poems as well. Again, this is written by a Persian poet, who lived from 1210 to 1291 or 92. So the culture was a little bit different. I think the way that they strongly word things was a little bit different than maybe how we would word things now, but I think that you still get the intent. So Bani Adam translates as the children of Adam. Human beings are members of a whole, since in their creation, they are of one essence. When the conditions of time brings a member to pain, the other members or limbs will suffer from discomfort. You, who are indifferent to the misery of others, it is not fitting that they should call you a human being. And again, that was written by Sadi Shiraz. And so while we may have our own views and beliefs about why things happen, that doesn't mean that we can abdicate ourselves from compassion. And yes, we can understand karma and God and the universe and all the things that people do that sometimes bring about their own misery. But we can still ache for them. We're still human beings, and we still should be caring about other human beings. And that injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. And I sometimes wonder if God doesn't view us as sometimes we might view a wounded animal. And I don't mean to be disrespectful in any way, but if you've ever had a wounded animal come into your life and you're trying to help that animal, and sometimes that animal doesn't understand that what you're trying to do is help them. And so they're frightened and they resist and they do things that might add to their suffering, right? You know that experience? And I wonder if God views us that way, because God tries to help us through the understandings we might have through meditation, through spiritual groups like this. Any kind of true religious path tries to help alleviate human suffering by understanding a different nature of God than what we might have as a baseline. So, we may be in pain over the losses and the events of the past year, and yet we know that there is a divine purpose that's being played out. And our pain then means that we're human. And our efforts to understand and accept the divine plan means that we're trying to grow spiritually. I think some days I do better at that than others. Some days I'm a little more patient with the process than others. But as we grow spiritually, we may then find that we have a different view of the world around us. And there's another poet who was from the 15th century. And oh my gosh, I grabbed my book. His name is Narshina Mehta. And again, I'm saying his name because, as we know, in certain cultures and certain eras, female poets had to have a male name for their work to get accepted or recognized. So I don't know the truth of Narshina Mehta, but I do believe it was a gentleman who wrote it based on the information I found. So this poem I'm going to read is The Real Lovers of God. They are the real lovers of God who feel others' sorrows as their own. When they perform selfless service, they are humble servants of the Lord, respecting all, despising none. They are pure in thought, word, and deed. Blessed is the mother of such a child, and in their eyes the divine mother shines in every woman they see. They are always truthful, even-minded, never coveting others' wealth, free from all selfish attachments, ever in tune with the holy name. Their bodies are like sacred shrines in which the Lord of love is seen. Free from greed, anger, and fear, these are the real lovers of God. And I think that's kind of cool stuff, that we can live our life of service, we live our life of compassion, and know that it's a way of honoring God. It's a way of expressing our humanity in all its various forms. And so I do want to thank you for taking the time and space in your life for zooming in today, so to speak, into the sacred space. And although it's a virtual service, with health regulations changing daily at this point again, our Sunday service approach is also likely to change. As I said, in the days ahead, we're going to come up with an approach that we think is going to try to meet most needs, at least. And today we also then want to celebrate the opportunity that was created for us to even be together, whether it's through Zoom or in real life. Because today we celebrate that we have a church. We have a church that is 26 years strong, despite everything that's happened. On May 19th of 1995, this church was started by our foundational pastor, Reverend Walt Fasser. And he had a vision. He wanted a sacred community where those of a spiritualist perspective could gather and share ideas and grow together. The regulations of the National Spiritualist Association didn't quite fully resonate with Reverend Walt, and so he did branch out, and he invested his own money, certainly his own time, his own personal effort, and a lot of hours to create this independent spiritualist assembly, as we say every Sunday we are. And looking back at church records, I truly, ladies and gentlemen, cannot imagine how many hours Reverend Walt Faster donated and dedicated to this church. And he was working full time at that point, traveling for his job. I mean, it wasn't like he was retired then as he is now. His life was dedicated to starting this church that we share and enjoy at this point in time. So I truly want to recognize and honor him today as we think about being 26 years strong. And then, as you may know, I mean, back in the day, he led every Sunday service. Frequently, he was the speaker. He was, a teacher for those that were learning mediumship and a teacher of healing. I remember he gave me one quick comment about my healing work, and I thought, oh, I'm making it too difficult. With one quick comment, I learned so much from him. So again, he definitely. I know that I've benefited from what he has shared with us, and I'm sure many of you have as well, whether it's from his personal counsel, his healings, his message work. Many of us have benefited in very different ways. And so today we do want to say thank you to Reverend Walt. And so about 5 or 6 weeks ago, again, everything is changing so quickly again, but about 5 or 6 weeks ago, the church board decided to celebrate Reverend Walt in 26 years of being a church with a drive-by celebration. As you may know, we have that planned for today to honor Reverend Walt and the anniversary of our church, and yet still respecting what at that time were state regulations that were in place. So as you may know, today from about 12 till 1, myself and Reverend Walt will be at the church, probably like outside that side door around the side of the church, to have a drive-by celebration. We do have a small gift for people. Instead of cake, we're sharing a small gift with everybody who can attend, partly inspired by Reverend Walt. And so we would appreciate if you can find time and space in your schedule. And I know for some it's quite a distance to drive, but if you can come out between 12:30 and 1 to say hello. Reverend Walt, like many of us, has been dearly missing spiritual community. Zooming for him is more difficult, so he's been at our live services. And if you can, come out and celebrate 26 years of our humanity together, 26 years of compassion, 26 years of caring and growing. And I thank you for your kind attention today. That is all I have to say, but I'm open to comments or feedback.
Yes, I'd like to open it up for some comments or questions or feedback. I'm looking for hands. My goodness.
It's quiet today.
It's quiet today.
It's quiet. And I will say, it's amazing to me when I'm looking at, and I think, Judy, do you have a comment? But it's amazing to me that we have Rumi, we have Hafiz, we have Saidi Shiraz, we have Metma, that all these poets in this cradle of civilization in Persia, and Metma was from India, but all this incredible poetry coming out of the cradle of civilization in a relatively short span of time, really kind of contemporaries of each other when you look at the millennia. Really? I don't know what that's about, but I just find that interesting. Maybe the 100th monkey effect, where that consciousness was definitely out there and being perceived by people that had no internet, had no telephones,
Awesome.
Cool stuff. So yes, so Judy, you have a comment.
You've got a couple of messages in chat. Yeah, Judy, I think, has a comment, and you've got some chat comments as well.
Yes, I'll leave the names and the authors. Yes.
Judy.
Oh, oops! I just I hit the wrong button. I'm so
you disappeared. That's okay.
Well, I'm going to reappear in the parking lot. So, I thank you for that beautiful message, because the one thing that is timeless in every text that comes through, whether it's that incredible deep poetry that goes beyond just the thinking mind, is at the course love and the oneness of us all. And so those of us, and most in the church are those of us who really feel the pain, or feel maybe before they even feel it sometimes. I'm sure you've experienced that. And I have said, so thank you, Cindy, for that genuine, heartfelt connection and message today. I needed it. It was right. I really needed it. And I'm so excited to be able to say hi to Walt, my soul mate, in a way. We titled Great Silver Discussions, but then that could be true said for all of us, of course. So I just wanted to thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate your feedback, Judy.
All right, anybody else? I'm going to let Cindy go and pick up Reverend Walt. She is putting the names of the poems and the authors in chat. And so look for that before she runs off to go get Reverend Walt. I don't see any other hands other than chat comments. Okay, all right. Thank you again, Cindy. Thank you so much. And thank you for putting those in the chat for everybody. Greatly appreciate it.
I think B has
Everybody
a comment.
says goodbye. As you know,
okay.
I'm sorry. Oh, Miss B. Miss B. Yes, go ahead. Unmute and.
Yep. That's the hard part sometimes is unmuting.
Yes, I'm saying goodbye to Cindy. Tell Walt I said hello, okay? And I'll
Absolutely, I will.
Okay. I'm sorry. Beg your pardon.
Not a problem.
No
Thank
problem.
you, B.
All right.
Thank you. Thank you. All right. I am
Thank you,
going
everybody.
to go ahead and thank you, Cindy. I'm going to go ahead and move on. Thank you so much for putting that in chat. Thank you for picking up Walt. Oh, there she goes. All right. Okay. Announcements. Let's do a little announcements. Today, again, as Cindy had mentioned, starting at around 12:30, the drive-by celebration is going to be at the church parking lot. Reverend Walt will be there. So stop by and say hey if you can. As we celebrate 26 years of service. Thank you so much. Tomorrow, Development Circle is at 7 p.m. and that is on Zoom. I do have the information for Zooming Development Circle in June. Is that correct, Vicki? You're still going to Zoom in June? Zoom in June. That rhymes. Okay. Next Sunday, the 23rd, is a live and Zoom service. I believe Reverend Deborah Ray is the speaker, but I could be wrong on that. I'm not quite sure who's speaking, so tune in to find out. Memorial Day Sunday, that service is dedicated to honoring those that we have lost, not just this past year, but ever. So names will be read during that service as part of the service. If you want a name to be read of, make sure that your loved one's name gets to me via email. That can be a person, that can be an animal, that can be a situation. All right. As Cindy also mentioned, the Board of Trustees is talking and planning to make some changes with the new state guidelines. I don't know what it's going to look like. I have no clue. But I do know that we will try to do what we feel is best for both those that prefer Zoom, those that prefer live, and come up with something that everybody can hopefully enjoy. So watch for details. That's all I know. I just know that we're talking at the moment, so that's about it. June 6th, it was a Sunday afternoon. I am doing an Ethics in Your Spiritual Work class, and that is going to be on Zoom. Batya, ongoing art and writing classes Friday mornings. Batya's email is in chat. If you need more information about that, contact her. And starting in, and this is a personal announcement from me. I think that's all the church announcements. And Batya announced her classes. Starting in May, the 4th Friday, I'm going to reinstate my home circle for those that are fully vaccinated. So if you have questions about that, let me know. But for those who are fully vaccinated, we're going to meet at 7 o'clock on the 4th Friday, excuse me. So in May, we're going to start in May. That's the 28th. So if you have questions about that, please let me know. Are there any other announcements from the floor? Reverend Vicki.
I'm doing an equine Reiki class that's on horses in June. It's regularly $175. So if you want to come, it's on sale.
Awesome.
Anyway, it's on Watt Road.
Where is that going to be located, Vicki?
It's on Watt Road off of Fairmont. That's a Saturday. It's in the afternoon after the riders are all done.
Awesome.
Just
Sounds
call
great.
me or text me if you're interested.
All right. And if you need Reverend Vicky's email, get a question to the church email and I'll get it to you so you can get more information on that. That sounds great. All right. Let's see where we are on time. Okay. Is there anybody who'd like to share briefly about how Spirit has touched your life this week? Allison, go for it.
I was just before church. I'm just so humbled by my children and by the way that they're connected to Spirit and the way that they believe in Spirit. A lot of you know I'm going through a pretty difficult divorce, and it's affected everyone. And I want peace, and that's all everyone wants, really. But as I was coming upstairs to go to church, Liam, my older one, reminded me to pray for Dad. And so I've spent most of this service praying for Dad. And I'm just so proud of my kids. And I'm so humbled by Spirit. So thank you.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing, Allison. Thank you so much. Anybody else have anything to share? Meg Harris, yes. Unmute and go ahead. You're muted, Meg. Meg, you're still muted, hon. Yeah, there you go. All right, you need to start over now. There you go.
I just want to say, Allison, my heart goes out to you. And my Twinkie, even though I don't really have much in the way of family or close friends, and I've been isolated for like 3 years now. I don't know, 2.5 years. I mean, it's been the hardest thing I've ever been through with everything going on, because I've never been so scared in my life. But I just wanted to say, my little girl, Twinkie, is working overtime to show me how loved and how sacred I really am. She's doing a great job.
Awesome. Thank you, Meg.
Honor her. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Anybody else have anything to share? We have time for another quick one if anybody chooses. Okay. All right, we will move on. The recording will now is now being stopped to preserve the sacredness of those serving and receiving from Spirit. For those of you watching the video, thank you for your support. And remember that you are always, always, always connected to the divine.